2 weeks ago, my sister was making lunch, yam and fried eggs. And I walked into the kitchen to toss something in the bin. She picked up the yam peel and made a joke about our experience growing up with our dad and how he was very particular about the size or the thickness of a yam peel. And if you allowed the flesh of the yam cut alongside with the peel, it was tantamount to waste. You had committed a crime. I laughed about it. It was really funny. I mean, it took me back. But in that moment, I brought out my phone and took a picture of it. Looking back, I'm glad that I made both a mental and physical note of that moment, because when I started thinking about what I would discuss today, for our conversation this week, that story came back to mind. Ready with your lenses? Welcome back, people of the tube. I started following this new YouTuber recently, and I heard her, address our subscribers in "Hey, people of the tube." Typically, I would say "Hey, people of the world," or I would say "Hi, guys." When I stumbled on this YouTuber's video recently, I thought to myself, this might not be something bad to steal. So, hey, people of the tube, welcome back. If you're not new here, then you know that this channel, we explore perspectives, narratives, themes, culture, and the lenses that shape them. And if you're new here, then hi, welcome to Lisa's Lens. My name is Lisa and I'm the Lens Girl. It's my pleasure to really have you here. I hope you find value and community here. Thank you for joining us. Before I go ahead to the conversation of today, I just want to ask, are there any ideas or suggestions you guys have about topics we can explore as we go on this journey together of exploring perspectives and themes and lenses and cultures and all of that good stuff? So if there are any ideas or suggestions you have, or things you've been thinking about, just wondering if you're the only one who feels this way or thinks about life this way, please drop them in the comments. Your voice matters, your contributions does matter, so please don't deny me the value of them, okay? I'll be looking out in the comment section. All right, thank you. One more checklist before we go ahead. Have you liked this video yet? Please like the video. And if you get to subscribe, please hit the button below and join us on this amazing community that we're building together. All right, on to the conversation of today. I've been thinking about the concept of the voices in my head. Hold up. I know that has a certain negative connotation, but stay with me. I wanted to pause for a second, shift focus a little bit, and just slide away gently that picture of the negative connotation that it brings to mind. Done? Great. Has it ever occurred to you that we are traveling through life with a series of unending conversations in our heads? That every single day of your life, of your every breathing, waking moment, you are an actor acting out an internal monologue? Not only that, these conversations and the subsequent actions that we take are a product of the voices we entertain. I shared the story of the yam peel with you at the start of this video. What I didn't share with you was that barely a week later, or about a week later, my sister will be making another meal. Notice a recurring theme here. Clearly, I'm following her to her husband's house because it's either that or yours truly will starve. Anyway, let's focus. So she was making a meal in the kitchen, and before she had started to make that meal, I had taken the knife out to peel oranges, to have some oranges in the room. I don't want to hear anything about how it's a bad habit to eat in the room. I don't want to hear it. Thank you. That's my bad habit. Thank you. So I had taken the knife into the room to peel oranges. And after a while, she calls out to me that she needs the knife. So I take the knife to her and she starts to use it. She steps out of the kitchen for a while. And then when I was ready to peel the oranges, I went to the kitchen. As I got to the kitchen, I saw the knife beside the chopping board with onions on it. And in that split second of looking at the onions and the knife, shrugging, picking up the knife and proceeding to go back to the room to use it, I had a flashback of my father again. You see, growing up, in fact, till present, my father has an aversion to onions. If you gave my father a knife that was used to peel onions 2 days ago, that has been washed, cleaned, drained, dried, he will tell you that he can still perceive the onions and that you should go get me an unused knife. That's how particular he was. You see, so in that moment of me seeing the knife very clearly beside the chopping board and still picking it up to use anyways, despite the voice I heard in my head while laughing internally, it dawned on me that, see, every other day their voice is in our head. You would have thought that was the end of it. I go into the room, I start peeling my oranges. A few moments later, my sister calls that she needs the knife. Clearly, we need another knife in this house. So she calls that she needs the knife, so I stand up to take the knife to her. And she makes an offhand comment, just a joke about how the knife was used for onions. And I start to laugh. I told her how that barely moments ago, that was the same picture that went into my head. And I had laughed about it. That it's interesting how relatable this is for us, because we grew up, hearing these same voices in our head. I didn't put it that way to her, but that was what crystallized for me in that moment. Both of us, different moments, just remembering our dad. But since I wasn't him and I didn't care, I used the knife anyways. Why am I boring you with the stories? The point of today's video is inviting you to sit with me to explore what are some of the voices in our heads. First of all, I'm drawing your attention to the fact that there are voices in your head. And in addition to driving this awareness, also inspiring you with a sense of intentionality about how you engage these voices. Two things I'd like to talk about. One, the multiplicity of voices. First, you must realize that there are several voices in your head. Some of them have probably become a broken record at this point. But you see, either way, these voices in your head are shaping your thoughts, emotions, or actions. Some of these voices are from family. Some are from romantic relationships. Some are even from strangers that somehow you accepted and you allowed to become something that you shaped your life by. Others are probably from persons of authority or influence in your life, like your bosses, your pastor, or your imam. Some other voices are from culture or some societal norm that you've accepted. You've heard utter time and time again, or your tradition upholds, and somehow you've just accepted it as, what is shaping how you are making certain actions and decisions. I'll give you an example. You meet a guy or a girl, you guys are attracted to each other, you connect, you're vibing, you're getting to know each other, and then suddenly, maybe the lady asks the guy, oh, what part of the country are you from? And in that split second of the guy telling her where he's from, the walls just shut down in her head. Why? Because she's heard a voice in her head of a statement of generalization that the people in her place of origin have vocalized time and time again about the people from the guy's tribe. And suddenly that becomes like a reason why the interaction cannot go further. And she loses a chance to get to know somebody who was probably an amazing person all the same. You see, you must recognize that there are voices in your head. Sometimes the voice in your head can be the voice of God if you have a relationship with God, or even from the devil. What's my point? Each day, whether you agree with it or not, whether you pay attention to it or not, the voices in your head are scripting out what you are acting out. Sometimes these voices harmonize, sometimes they clang in conflict, but either way, they are shaping your identity and your worldviews. Think about it. I haven't lived at home for over 10 years now. But twice in the space of 1 month, there's a voice in my head taking me back there. There are voices in your head. Second point is the importance of intentionality, right, in engaging these voices. As you're watching or listening to this, you probably start to think of some voices in your head and the emotions that you've associated with these voices. Sometimes these voices make you laugh. Some of them make you sober. Some of them make you hunch your shoulders in fear and anxiety and that need to walk on eggshells because of whom those voices are associated with. Some of these voices put you on the defensive. Some of these voices make you even mimic or make fun of them in rebellion, mischief about what those voices are associated with. But you see, regardless of what those voices represent or who they are associated with, these voices are diligently carrying out their responsibility in playing out the script you are acting. And if they are, why shouldn't you? You see, voices in our heads are not just mere intrusive thoughts. In fact, thoughts aren't just thoughts. I remember a couple of years ago, maybe more than a couple now, my pastor used to say this over and over again. And listen, thoughts are not just thoughts. Don't answer thoughts with thoughts. Answer thought with words. The other day, I watched a video clip of Pastor Nancy, and she was saying, you need to learn to practice answering thoughts. She said, because you see, sometimes what seems like little thoughts that don't really make a difference can become sources of torment. So you must be intentional about bringing every thought in line with the word and say, this thought, is it speaking truth about me? If it's not, then you don't let it loose in your life. You bring it into captivity. What's my point? Practice questioning the voices in your head. You see, it's not enough to recognize or acknowledge the voices in our head. We must be intentional about identifying the voices that do not align with the truth about our identity. Remember the other day I brought you into the room where I read your Miranda rights, and I brought you on that investigation about crimes committed against the real you and how you've either knowingly or unknowingly been an accessory to the fact of crime. In the same way, you need to identify the voices that do not align with the truth about you. Whether they are labels that have been said over and over again, you must be intentional about identifying these ones and challenging the negative or limiting voices. Not only that, you must set up systems that allow you to be intentional about reframing what these voices are saying, so that it's not just a one-off thing. Rather you are building muscle, you are building the habit, you are getting more and more conscious, more intentional about challenging the negative or limiting voices in your head, so that you are ultimately able to make conscious and empowered choices about your life. And then you can break free from the passive acceptance of external influences or control over how your life plays out. You have a responsibility to challenge limiting voices and reframe your default response to those voices in your head. Here's my call to action for you, because today's video is an exercise in self-awareness. I want you to do a voice inventory. Today, not tomorrow, today. First, I want you to identify the dominant voices in your head. Secondly, evaluate which voices align with the values, goals, identities that you want your life to be known for. 3, practice how you want to be responding to those voices. For example, you could say, when a voice that is not true plays out in your head, you will say, today, I, Lisa, affirm that this is not true about me. I do not respond to the script that this voice is playing out. This is what is true about me. Intentionally practice questioning voices in your head and responding to them. You see, sometimes you may need to remove yourself from the environment of those voices. For example, if there's a voice of temptation in your head that is clanging loudly, against the voice of God in your head to do something that doesn't please God, that is sinful, in that moment, you need to flee that appearance of evil. That's what the word tells you to do, isn't it? You are removing yourself from the environment. Other times, you may need to talk back to those voices. Some other times, it may just be you need to make a mental note, of that voice. And that's progress. Whatever you do, just make sure that you don't settle for or accept anything that is less than the life you are capable of on account of the dialogues in your head. You see, it doesn't matter how loud the voices are. The real question you should be asking is, are they speaking truth? Don't be passive. Question the voices in your head. Make them sit up and realize that you're not a robot or a zombie, just accepting of everything that they dump at you. Make them realize that you're no longer going to be asking how high when they ask you to jump. Listen, you are not a slave to the voices in your head. You are the conductor of this orchestra. You are the scriptwriter of the story. So decide today to take back control of the limiting voices, the negative voices in your head, and make beautiful harmony out of this life that God has given you. Remember, I'm always rooting for you. And once again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. This video might just be the confirmation somebody needs to hear, to change the way they're seeing life and the quality of life they are living. Don't deny them that privilege. Okay? I'll see you in the next video. Toodles! Bye, people of the tube. Have a great day.